I'm a huge Leatherman fan. I've got lots of them, from really tiny little Leathermans all the way up through different sizes, up to the big one, the Leatherman Wave, which is probably the most popular Leatherman you can get. But Leatherman have brought out a new line of tools. This is the Leatherman Free T4, which is their new version of the Wave to some degree. It's got little magnets in it. It's pretty cool, very satisfying to open and close. But if you ever opened a Leatherman and thought to yourself, I really wish I could have a Leatherman without the pliers, all the other tools with it, enter the Leatherman T4. Leatherman have created just the tool. I love Leatherman, but I'm not sure about this one. And in this video, I'm going to run through some of the pros and cons with it and maybe help you decide if this is the right Leatherman for you. How's it going, folks, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, on this channel I talk about EDC, technology, and anything that can help me live a happier, balanced, more productive life. So the Leatherman T4 is a one-hander. It is basically, it looks quite similar to one of the handles from one of the typical Leatherman line tools. It is actually an awful lot thicker, both in terms of width and in terms of inside profile. And actually that's one of the main problems that I have with it. This is a very chunky knife and I'm not sure who it's for. But let's go through some of the features that it's got. The first thing is it does have a knife that in theory you can open one-handed, although it is a bit of a pain. It's not something you can just whip out of your pocket quickly, like some of the other blades that I might have, where you can kind of instinctively open them and just use them straight away. It's definitely a conscious effort and a bit of a pull if you really want to do it one-handed. I find myself a lot of the time holding it in one hand and pulling it out with the other. The reason being is it's actually quite a short blade. It's a 2.5-inch blade, which is fine, but it does make rotating out from that pivot point that little bit harder for such a short blade. One of the advantages is that it is a locking blade, so maybe over one of the Victorinox blades, if you're a Victorinox fan, when you have these blades out, if you were to try and puncture something with it, it's possible it could snap on your fingers, whereas this here is locked in place and you can use it to punch through and things like that without it snapping on your fingers. And I really like the locking mechanism. It's very easy to release it just one-handed and push it back down again. In terms of width, it is a much wider handle. You can see here, much wider than the handle of a Leatherman would be. And also in terms of inside profile, it's about it's 1.5 times, if not almost 2 times as thick as well. So you really are paying a premium in terms of space in your pocket to be able to carry this with you. Now these Leatherman tools are always heavy. This has got a deep carry pocket clip, and when I do carry it on me, it does have a tendency just to weigh down my pocket. You really know you have it on you because they're chunky tools. This tool is also a reasonably heavy tool for its size. Comparing it to, say, a Victorinox with similar functionality, it's probably twice the weight just in the hand, just looking at it there. So you do pay a premium for that. So staying on the knife side, the other tools that it has, you can push down on these 2 levers, and you've got 2 more remaining tools. The first one is you've got a nail file, or not a nail file, a metal file, double-sided metal file with a small flathead screwdriver on the end of it. And when you put that out, that also locks in place, which is very satisfying. The second one that you've got on that side is you've got a flathead screwdriver and you've got a box opener. They call this a box opener. There's a little sharp serrated edge on it there for digging in and cutting through Amazon packages or opening boxes. And again, when you put that one out, it locks in place as well. So I'd say the main advantage of this tool is that the tools that you take out lock in place instead of them just snapping closed by themselves. For the first time in my knowledge as well, they've put in a tweezers. And this is something that's been commonplace in Victorinox tools for a very long time. I would say the advantage that this has over the Victorinox tools is the tweezers comes to a pointed head and it's been sharpened. So it is actually a very good tweezers for taking splinters out of your fingers and the things you actually end up using these for. Probably not great for plucking your eyebrows every day if that's what you want. Get a proper tweezers. But for a one-off or getting a little splinter out of your finger, a very satisfying tweezer they put into this pocket tool, multi-tool. So that's everything on that side, very chunky side. On the other side, let's see what you've got. There are 3 tools on this side. So let's start with the scissors. First thing, scissors clips in place, just like all the other tools. And it is a spring-assisted scissors, and they've borrowed heavily from Victorinox here in terms of how they do the spring on this scissors. So for anyone who's used a Victorinox scissors before on their bigger tools, it's exactly the same thing. Closing down that, opening the other 2 tools. So I think this is an awl because it has the hole where you can pull your thread through if you're punching through a tent or something like that you're trying to keep a piece of tarp in place. It has an awl and it has a very tiny flathead screwdriver for glasses or small getting into toys, remote controls and things to open boxes like that on this side. And then the last tool that it has is a Phillips head, and it's a flattened style Phillips head screwdriver with a bottle opener on it. And again, locks into place. You have to release it using the locking mechanism. So that means there's locking mechanisms on both sides of this. So I was very excited when I bought this. I thought this was going to be my everyday carry for a little while, but as soon as I put it into my pocket, it was just too chunky. And to be honest with you, while it has these locking mechanisms for all these tools, I really don't need them. I'm not really sure who this is for. And that's what kind of my main comment on this Leatherman PT4 is. Who is this for? Maybe if you're someone who really likes Victorinox features, but you don't like the Victorinox brand, maybe it's an alternative for you. It certainly feels like Leatherman are competing with the Victorinox classic pen knives with this release. Maybe if you're someone who insists on having a one-handed open blade, but you'd like to have a multi-tool as well, or you really like the style of one-handed blade that comes with these Leathermans. Now, I do like the one-handed blades that come with the typical Leatherman tools because they're longer and they're just that bit easier to open than this one seems to be. But this one, even though it's a one-hander, as I said, very tricky to get your thumb into that position to be able to open that one-handed. So if you're someone who really wants to have a locking blade and you're not too fussed about it being easy to open one-handed, this might be the tool for you. If also it's not that important to you that in your pocket that it's not bulging out and kind of keeping your pocket open and kind of uncomfortable in your pocket, or you don't intend to keep it as a pocket carry, you want to throw it in into a glove box or into a multi-tool case that you have, this might be the knife for you as well. Or maybe it's that you like that it has a deep carry pocket clip on it, and the Victorinox typically you can't, you have to kind of throw them into your pocket. My solution for that is to actually continue to use a Victorinox, but you can buy these deep carry pocket clip extenders that go on these, and when I'm carrying my Victorinox, I always have a pocket clip on it to keep it in my pocket, because yeah, I can't live with having the Victorinox just rattling around at the bottom of my pocket. Or maybe you're just a huge Leatherman fanboy, like I am, and it's worth having it in your collection as something, you know, something novel and new. So for me, the two most important features of a Leatherman are the pliers and the wire cutters, and having a really good, reliable knife on it, having a reliable blade. And on these you can open them because they're longer, you can open them one-handed, so it's a very reliable multi-tool. So I use these very frequently. And in fact, the tools within the handles are underused by me. I don't use them that frequently. They're kind of emergency bonus tools if I don't have anything else, but they're not great for situations when you need them. So what would I do? I think with regards to this, you're actually getting the worst of everything. The blade doesn't open one-handed easily. You don't have a pliers, and the tools you get within it are kind of subpar. So what would I do instead? This is a $60 tool, and what are some of the things I would recommend instead? So if you purely just wanted a nice flipper knife or something classy to have in your pocket and you weren't really worried about all the multi-tool features, you could buy something like this Civivi Elementum. I love this knife. It's less than $60. It's about $50 right now on Amazon. It's a classic, it's a very classy gentleman's knife that you can keep in your pocket, and it flips beautifully and it locks in place. So if those are your requirements, I would go for something like that. If you really do want a multi-tool for your pocket and you don't need it to have a pliers, I'd probably go for a Victorinox. The blades on them are better, they've been around much longer, the ergonomics are better on them, and you can buy a deep carry pocket clip for the money and you have a better tool in your pocket than buying one of these hybrid Leathermans that just really don't make sense right now. The last thing I would say is if you really want to be true to the Leatherman brand, for about the same size, you can actually get a much better Leatherman tool. So this is the Leatherman Juice C2. I also have the Leatherman Juice S1, and they have different capabilities. But for the same size, you get a pliers, you get a wire cutters, you get bottle openers, and you actually get the exact same features in terms of tools within the handles that you get with that Leatherman T4. Yes, you have to open the blade two-handed in order to be able to get that blade out, but it is a fantastic blade. It doesn't have a lock on it, so it will snap shut on you, but I just use it for cutting things. So the only reason I think you should get this is if you insist on having all your tools lock into place when you use them, or you're just a massive Leatherman fan that doesn't want to have a wire cutters. If you want to know what my favorite piece of EDC, the one bit of kit I use everywhere, click on this video here, or if you want to see some more EDC videos, have a look at these. Hope you enjoy. Good luck.